Hello, AFD Nation. I want to introduce to you today something called Peerless Watercolors from Nicholson's. These are not that recent. They were first manufactured and trademarked in 1902. They are originally used for coloring black and white photographs, and you can get some very interesting effects with them. I use them now as just regular watercolors. Now this is actually two sets in one. I think I bought my first one in 1980 and it lasted for, I don't know, I'm still using it. You can buy a book like this. I think they're about 20 colors, and nowadays it'll cost you about 25 or 30 bucks. When I bought it, I think it was $5. They're compact, they are completely portable. Now what they are, now this one here's a rather used one, but you can see that it's a piece of cardboard essentially infused or coated with color. Now there are a number of ways you can use this. What you can do is cut off a piece and simply put it in a bottle of water and mix it up. You can make quite a bit of watercolor that way. Or let's just see how this one works. Like I said, I've used a lot of it. So I'm just going to take my brush here, and I don't know if you can see that. I've got a nice jar of water here. No, it's not vodka. And I'm going to get some water on it. You can see that the brush is quite juiced up with water. So what I'm going to do is just, I hate to do this over my artwork, but my space is limited. So I'm going to pick up some of that pigment. And always good to test it first. Now this, what I'm using this on at the moment is scratchboard. And you can see that it's been inked and I've scraped away certain areas of it. You can still color that. So I'm gonna apply some of this color. I think that's a bit dark, so I'm just gonna very lightly apply this to this face here. And it's very fast and spontaneous. I'm leaving my highlights, finding where the shadows are, and just dropping in some color very, very quickly. Now, if I don't like the amount of color on that, that's why I've got my handy, what do you call it? Yes, it's called paper towel. Thank you. So I can very quickly blot that up, and it goes on nice and flat. So it works beautifully on this, actually. There are actually specialty colors for scratchboard, but this works just fine. It's a clay surface, so what happens is it gets absorbed into the clay. Let's try another one. I'm tempted to create a little sort of group of 7 painting here. Good idea to have a jar on hand to wash your brushes with. So what do we want? We want a blue background. So what I'm going to do is find my Peerless Blue here, and there's quite a selection of them. So good idea to experiment. This is a sky blue. I've been using it for years. These things are very cost effective. Sorry about moving the camera, but I keep blaming it on earthquakes. I'm lying, of course. So let's absorb some of that nice blue here. And let's see how strong that is. That's not too bad. So what I'm going to do is just suggest a line of blue sky, maybe a suggestion of blue down there, and I'm leaving the clouds white. And I could leave that on until it completely dries, or I can, like I said, blot it up. And that actually creates a nice effect. Now, do I want to go in with a bit of pink? Let's try, let's just go for broke here. Forget the subtlety. I'm just going to fire a very strong pink in there and see what happens. That's a bit too strong, but what the heck. We can blot that quickly. Lighten it up with water. That's pretty neat, actually. So let me see if I've got an aqua in here. Damn. Don't you love it? Makeshift movies with wobbly stands. Now, what color is that? Is that aqua? I don't know. This is a more recent one, so it's going to be very strong. Let's try it up here. That's very, very strong. So I want to create some water in there. Leave some white, because I want to show the foam. I want to throw some green in there. Let's see what happens if we quickly mix that. Oh, that's quite nice. Okay, good. I like it. And that could use some brown in the rock. Let's see what that does. That's a little strong. Sometimes these things are quite intense, so you got to be careful with them. Now, they're not waterproof, so what I can do is if I want to remove some of that, I can go in, just get it wet, and dab it up. And that's not a bad little painting. We're talking what? $75,000 at Sotheby's auction house. Let's move to another medium here. And this is a different paper. You're going to find whatever papers you use, they all have their own little idiosyncrasies. This is a thicker paper. It's more for watercolor, although it's not specifically a watercolor paper. Where's my flesh tone? There goes the earthquake again. All right. Hold still. This is hard to do art and film. I just, I'm getting better at it, but there you go. So I'm going to have my blotter ready. So we've got essentially a piece of what they call coquille board. And you can see by the line work that it's quite bumpy. It produces sort of a stipple or a mezzotint effect when you put crayon over it. This is Prismacolor pencil crayon. This was a cartoon for a newspaper in the Toronto area. So what I'm going to do is figure out how much. Always good to have a scrap on hand so I can test. So I'm going to pick up some pigment and test it there. That's pretty good. I might start out a bit lighter. And let's do the hand here. Now what I like to do with this technique is drop in my colors, leave my highlights, just leave it white. And I need a little bit more color there. I can go in with a slightly darker pink or whatever to get some shadows. Or lately I've been preferring to simply slap in the color and then go over it with a little bit of pencil crayon with a color that's more or less, that's kind of dark. That's a little dark, so let's wet that. I don't know if obviously you can't see it, but I'm dipping my brush into a jar of water, and you can see how you can spread this stuff out. So if you put it on too strong, can you guys see? Yeah, here's my water over here. So I'm going to, I guess I've established the light source is coming from over here. So what I'm going to do is, now that's a bit light, I want a bit darker. There's going to be a cast shadow under the guy's hat. I can leave a little highlight there. Now, if I want to, and I'm leaving a bit of light on the side of the nose, maybe I need to, that could be reflected light under the glasses, but I'm going to add a bit there anyway. What I want to do is take a little bit. Now, you got to be careful doing this. This is a little bit of rose madder. And why was rose mad? I don't know. Let's test that. Now, you can see how intense that is. You don't want too much. What I want to do is just redden up this guy's nose slightly. Now, it's going wet on wet, and I can just let that kind of spread into the water, and it looks pretty good. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but I like to make the ears red, and Duncan McPherson, the great cartoonist with the Toronto Star for many years, did that, and I kind of borrowed it. Okay. Now, if you find that it's spreading too much into the other area, you blot it, and that works reasonably well. I can add a bit of that pink, and I might go in with a light brown as well, just to get a little bit more shadow there. But like I said, you can also shade with pencil crayon. And build up. Pencil crayon is a little less dangerous, frankly, because you're not going to ruin it. But this stuff, this coquille board, I believe it's made by Aquabee, sometimes known as Bee, but it produces a very nice paper that takes watercolor beautifully. And of course, this is a traditional method, which is a little bit messier than Photoshop, but we're gonna try both in our program. Good old AFD. And let's go in with a light brown. I want to throw a little cast shadow under there. Try not to carry your wet brush over your art. In other words, do as I say, not as I do. It's dangerous. I mean, I've blotted and dropped a bunch of paint on various projects. That's not a bad cast shadow. Don't be afraid to be strong with your cast shadows either. And if you find that they're a little strong, blot them out. It's not bad. I'm just as happy with that. Yeah. Do I want a little cast shadow under the nose? It's still a bit wet. You can let it sit for a minute and then blot it. So it takes a little bit of practice to figure out the timing. But there we go. That works. We're good. Thank you very much. That's Peerless Watercolors by Nicholson's, and they are available at your better art stores in the Toronto area, such as Above Ground, Curry's, Dessairs, etc., etc. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.